Live from the Pitch Pad in New York City. Get ready to unleash your inner entrepreneur with Pitch Live with Amy Summers. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just dipping your toes into the Shark Tank, this is the place to be to discover how to turn your pitch into reality. Fasten your seatbelts, pitch stars, because the spotlight is on you and we are about to make success happen. On this episode of Pitch Live,
the very beginning, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so scary to be calling people I don't know and pitching them. And I look back to those 2 weeks, and even in just that short amount of time, my confidence skyrocketed in terms of being able to confidently call people I didn't know, pitch them a client I had just learned about. And I feel like almost that little bit of fear of what was to come was what pushed me to decide to stay at the end of the 2 weeks, because why not take on that little bit of fear and take a risk and grow from it, you know?
Get ready for Pitch Live in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Pitch Live. I'm your host, Amy Summers, founder and president of Pitch Publicity and Vox. I'm also a hardworking entrepreneur who is passionate about helping you reach success in any area of your life. And I know that is possible after decades of experience in perfecting the pitch and enhancing communication skills, which is why I'm here today and joined by Maureen Mooney, who is a former forever pitch star, having interned with us at Pitch Publicity for a year, starting in 2021, all the way through her graduation from the University of Florida in 2022, where she earned her degree in public relations with a concentration in business. Welcome, Maureen.
Thank you for having me, Amy. Hi.
Well, I have so much more to tell about your background, but before I get into that, I thought it would be fun if we did a little fire round to get to know Maureen before I reveal all the details. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm going to just give you 2 choices. You pick the first one that comes to mind. Here we go. Flip-flops or heels?
Heels.
All right. Taco Bell or Chick-fil-A?
Chick-fil-A.
I had a feeling you were going to say that. All right. Nightclub or church?
Whew. Church.
or church at a nightclub?
Or church during the day, nightclub at night.
Okay. Best of both worlds. All right. Nieces or nephews?
Nieces.
Nieces. And Tampa or Gainesville?
That's a tough one. Tampa.
Tampa, says the Tampa girl. All right. So during her time at Pitch Publicity, Maureen gained a wide range of public relations experience, from writing to pitching, and secured more than 100 media placements for our clients. She also took part in our pre-professional program during her final semester, where I had the chance to personally mentor her through her job search. She even joined me at a major conference in New Jersey and produced our very first dinner party here at the Pitch Pad in New York City. And then after Pitch Publicity, Maureen went on to work at Press PR and Marketing in Tampa, Florida as an account coordinator, where she's continued to build her expertise in publicity, pitching, media relations, and content creation, helping to uncover and share stories worthy of earning local, regional, and national attention. So welcome again, Maureen. I'm excited to jump right in and talk about how you've made success happen, or, as I call it, MSH, make shit happen.
Yes. I'm so excited to be here, reminisce on pitch, and just talk to you about all things going on in my life and in yours.
Yeah. So, let's start with your internship at Pitch Publicity. What initially drew you to apply for an internship at Pitch Publicity?
Yes. So I remember it was junior year of college, 3rd year, you had to get your internship requirement fulfilled for the degree of public relations at the University of Florida. I remember just applying online to a bunch of different opportunities, and then a professor mentioned that a great place to look is the University of Florida job board for the School of Journalism. And I was like, oh, why haven't I looked there? So I looked and I saw the opportunity and I was like, oh my gosh, a firm based in New York. That sounds fabulous. It sounds like an adventure. But I was very nervous to apply, and I think one of my friends really encouraged me, and she was like, "You should go for it. It's a remote opportunity. I think it'd be great. Every Everyone knows New York is where, like, dreams come true, and, like, you can really get awesome experience, but you can do that from Gainesville and learn from somebody who's in New York." So I applied, and, the rest is history.
I like that. I like how, your friend encouraged you to apply.
Mhm.
I think a lot of times we read job descriptions and maybe they sound, super impressive or
Yes.
maybe bigger than the scope of our current experience, and so
Mhm.
a lot of times people don't apply for those jobs, and they're really missing out because, they could really qualify, and all you have to do is apply. What's the worst that can happen, right?
Exactly, exactly.
You'd be in the same spot you are now. So, can you share, what, your interview experience was like interviewing with me? How did you prepare for it, and how did that feel like coming into this?
Yeah, so that was my first interview experience for something professional. So I remember just scouring the internet, watching YouTube videos, like, really trying to take in all that I could to best represent myself, when speaking to somebody who would be potentially hiring me, and so I spoke to people, looked on YouTube, looked on LinkedIn too, just trying to find resources, and that's how I mostly prepared. And then the experience itself, honestly, was very fluid and it came naturally. And I think, at least looking back, like there's only so much preparation you can do. And at the end of the day, I was just having to be myself, represent myself, what I knew, what I didn't know too. And present that to you, and it was nerve-wracking being my first time, but it was definitely a good learning experience.
Yeah, I think you bring up a very important point. Is just be yourself and
Yeah.
represent yourself as much as possible because that's what people are really looking for. They're looking to see who you are as a person.
Yes.
Um, Was there a moment during your internship with us that you thought, "Okay, this was the right decision for me?"
Yes, I always think back to the 2 weeks that you set up at the beginning of an internship to make sure the fit is right for me and for you. And I just remember going through those 2 weeks, and at the very beginning, I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, I don't know if this is for me. This is so scary to be calling people I don't know and pitching them." And I just I look back to those 2 weeks, and even in just that short amount of time, my confidence skyrocketed in terms of being able to confidently call people I didn't know, pitch them a client I had just learned about, but learned about really well through practice with you, and, by the end of those 2 weeks, I was like, "I this is a very nerve-wracking opportunity for me," and I feel like almost that little bit of fear of what was to come was what pushed me to decide to stay if I was presented that opportunity to stay at the end of the 2 weeks because, I mean, why not grow and take on that little bit of fear, and take a risk and grow from it, you know?
I like that,
Yeah.
really, leaning into the fear and going for it.
Yes.
So, out of all the campaigns that you worked on with us, which one left the biggest impression and why?
Definitely Dr. Sinatra.
Aw.
I loved pitching him. I think he had an awesome story and just awesome expertise taking natural approaches to health. Um, and I remember, there was a time where I was down bad with COVID, and it was rough, and I remember being on the phone with you and just we were talking about it, and you were like, "Hey, I'm gonna send you like, if you get supplements in the mail, will you actually take them?" And I was like, "Absolutely, I'll do anything." And I remember getting the care package from you, which one warmed my heart that, like, knowing I was so cared for by my mentor and by my boss and just, receiving those supplements, but then also a few of them were from Dr. Sinatra, I remember, and I remember taking them and actually feeling better. And so it was this full circle moment of pitching this expert, pitching, his expertise, his knowledge, and, the items and the products that he produced from that expertise to people. And, you hear his stories, and you hear him in his interviews, and he sounds great, and he's helping people, but then to receive the help myself was, like, a cool moment to be like, "Wow, I actually feel better after taking these." So, it was
It
a
works. It
yeah,
works.
it does. And then, you know how you always say, and I mean, honestly, many people say that you have to truly believe in what you're pitching in order to be the most convincing version of yourself when you are representing somebody and representing a client. And I feel like after that, I was just like, wow, like I could pitch him so easily just by saying how much he helped myself, honestly. And I was able to just like really resonate with the people he was helping too. So that
A
was
lot of times we have to become the guinea pigs a little bit to portray somebody in a certain way because you have to try it yourself. I mean, if we're gonna pitch it. And I love that Dr. Steven Sinatra was, a favorite of yours because I think that you were, like, one of the last people to pitch him before he passed away. Did
mm.
you know he passed away?
I didn't know.
Yeah, so he passed away, shortly after your graduation, like, in June. So,
Wow.
yeah, so I'm really glad that you had the opportunity to pitch him because he's probably one of the most prolific cardiologists in natural health in our time, and he was amazing on those interviews. I just remember the media loving him, like, they loved Dr. Sinatra, and he had this way of in every interview, I felt like his message and talking points were different. He had something to offer. He was like an encyclopedia, and I'm just
Exactly.
so sad that we don't have that anymore, but at least we have all the videos and all the interviews you booked, so that's good.
Yeah, his expertise lives on, and as does
Yeah.
his, amazing products that he, like, made and designed
Mhm.
himself, like, that is hopefully impacting people for years and years to come. I know he impacted me, so
Yeah, I noticed on our YouTube channel, Pitch Publicity YouTube channel,
mhm.
that the interviews that we've put on there of Dr. Sinatra, they still get so many hits. So many people are trying to get his advice. But you were a part of that. So that's really exciting.
Yeah.
Um, moving on to some of the pitching that you were doing, what aspects of pitching did you find most difficult at first, but now you love? Like you kind of grew into it. Like what was challenging, but then you're like, I love this. I could do this all the time. I think you even told me at one point, like, I really like this. And you were like kind of surprised at yourself for telling me that. But what specific aspects were challenging? And then you started it really coming into your own with them.
So, I feel like this is gonna sound very simple, but honestly, just picking up the phone and calling people. Like, I remember just being very nervous to do that at first, and especially in those few weeks at the beginning, picking up the phone, knowing that someone either is not gonna answer, is going to answer and shut me down, or might answer and might be interested, but isn't going to commit, like, just overcoming the fear of just picking up the phone, calling and talking to somebody, I think was the biggest challenge, and I think a lot of people struggle with that even today, and through just repetition, repetition, repetition every day, and just calling people, hitting the call button, typing out the whole number and hitting it and waiting, listening to it ring, I think that in its simple and almost silly way, that was really scary for me, and I definitely overcame that by the end of the internship, having called hundreds and hundreds of people, um, and, it just by the end of it, I just realized people on the other end of the phone are just people, and I apply it today too. And in the work that I do, if someone is not replying over email, I'm not immediately assuming that they're ghosting me. I just like, you know what, maybe they're more of a phone person. So I pick up the phone, I call them, and they answer. And I'm able to have that conversation, whether it's a media personnel, potential partner. And so I look back and I'm like, wow, why was I so nervous all the time to just call people? But you never know. You never know what someone else's preference is too.
Right.
They prefer
And just to
email.
hear your voice and know that you're a real person, even if you have to leave a voicemail, I feel like people tend to respond more when there's that human element. And I think
Mhm.
your voice is really the only thing that can provide that human element. So when you're pitching today and you're calling people, do some of your colleagues find that shocking or scary? Are you like you feel like you're head and shoulders above them?
I definitely think they always know that they can rely on me if they need me to call somebody. They'll be like, "Hey, do you wanna call the news desks, to see if anyone is going to make it to our event this evening?" And "Oh, yeah, I got you." I'll call them. It's an easy thing for me, just picking up the phone and calling them and then maybe even sometimes trying to convince them to be there, whether it's
Yeah,
at local level or even, um, finding the phone numbers of potential partners, just outreach there too, like picking up the phone and calling if the email isn't working.
right. I feel like a lot of times we hide behind email now because I was even trying to get a meeting with someone the other day and she was, "No, we're all busy. It's more efficient this way." But like there's just something about talking to someone on the phone, like you can have more chemistry and more ideas. So, but she kept pushing me to like, "No, no, no, let's just do email." But email is so controlled in that way. I feel like you can't get someone's spontaneous reaction. And I feel that's the same way in pitching too, is that someone might have a spontaneous reaction to what you're pitching, but they would have never put that in an email. So it's such great insight as
Exactly.
well.
Yeah, I agree. Or even I remember recently just working with one of my clients, trying to partner with a local business. I had been emailing the business, seeing if they would be interested in a partnership. And I picked up the phone, called them, and they were so excited to hear from this client. But I would have never known that if I hadn't called them because they hadn't been receiving the emails. And just hearing their excitement and they're like, "Oh, wow, this is such a great idea. There's so many opportunities here." I was like, why didn't I call sooner, man?" There was just so much, like you were saying, so much more chemistry, the flow of ideas right off the bat that, I could reference back to later, potentially make happen for them too. Um, there's just so much more, personability when you have someone on the phone and you're able to really talk to person and see if something would work out. Yeah.
So speaking of person to person, let's talk about your trips to New York City. You came a couple times up here during your internship. The first time you came up was I think the first time you came up was the end of a year celebration that we had in New York City for our clients and media, and you were a part of it. I believe we had a Studio 54 theme.
Yes, that was so much fun.
Can you tell was that your first time to New York, or had you been up
It
here
was.
before? It was your first
Yes,
time.
it was my
What was
first
that
time.
experience like coming to New York for the first time, and what left the biggest impression with you from that, immersion opportunity to come up here?
I loved that trip so much. It just showing up to the city, getting to meet you, getting to meet the other interns that I hadn't met before but have been in contact with, virtually. It was an awesome experience, and something I definitely took with me was just the interactions I was able to have with clients and media that I'd been talking to, and booking for, or maybe not necessarily booking for personally, but my, intern colleagues were booking for, and just to see and meet those people makes all the difference in the whole world. Just getting that in-person interaction, to connect with on a personal level too, because at the party, it was such a good opportunity to speak to those writers, speak to those editors that I remember being there, and getting perspective on different things, whether it was normal everyday things that I could then relate to with them and have that more personal relationship with them. And then maybe some things about what they're covering, interesting things in the industry, what trends are happening. And it was an awesome immersive experience, like you said, immersive, just to really get into it all. And I believe that was my first, I guess, networking event, just actually networking with other professionals. And
I remember I gave all of you an assignment. I'm like, "You must move around the room, you must talk to people, you can't talk to yourselves,"
yes.
and you all were really circulating. I was very proud to see that. Do you remember meeting anyone at that party that really stood out to you that wasn't me or one of the other interns?
I remember meeting, I don't remember the specific outlet, but it was an editor for one of the organic, I think it was Organic and Natural,
Mhm.
and one of those organic outlets, and I remember just speaking to him about one of the clients and just relating a little bit more to him because he was so excited to talk about the product that that client had been, had in progress that I think one of the other interns was pitching, and it was just such a good moment of like, wow, like, I and now have a little bit more insight into what he's excited about and what he wants to cover. And then I also remember, um, just I mean, I do I loved meeting all of um, the editors, the clients, but I also really loved meeting the interns too, and getting to know them on a personal level too, because I felt like that helped
Mhm.
just our chemistry as a team too when throwing opportunities their way that came my way, like, "Oh, this editor wasn't interested in my story, but I think he might be interested in your client," or, "Hey, you covered my client, I'm gonna pass him along to you now," and, like, it was just that chemistry was able to build, and I felt like it really helped us as a team to have that in-person experience, have that, trip to relate to on that bonding experience too.
It was a great party.
It was a lot of
It was
fun.
our first party after the pandemic break, so it was, like, nice to have a party again. Now you came back up here. We did another trip with you during your pre-professional time with us, and you went to Supply Side East conference in New Jersey, and you assisted me during a presentation that I gave, and you joined me for client meetings and sales meetings. And what was your takeaway from all that? Because that was a side of the business I had not shown you before.
Yes, I really enjoyed the dinner party that we hosted together. That was an awesome experience. And it also showed a side of business and a side of those relationships you build with clients, that I hadn't really seen before. Like we had the big event the first time I came up to New York, but then to see that more intimate space, having a very like select list of people that you wanted to bring together to have that conversation about the conference, what was happening, industry trends, just to be there, to facilitate that environment was really cool. And it was a lot of fun too. It was a fun side, but also a um, more of that professional relationship building, which is so essential for any kind of relationship when you're working in your career or even in your personal life, like having and facilitating those environments to have the conversations, that was a blast, and it was a lot of fun working with the chef too.
Yeah, you found us a great chef, and you found a
Yeah.
great company that sourced all these chefs. I was like, "How is Maureen doing this? She doesn't even live in New York. She's found all this stuff." And just so you know, I still used one of their chefs from all your research.
Really?
So you helped me out a lot. For all the other dinner parties, I've used 1 or 2 of the chefs from the same company that you got. So I was very impressed that you were in Florida. You were finding all these resources in New York. You really did a great job with that dinner party. Now you mentioned networking, so I wanna talk a little bit about networking. What do you find now in your profession that is most effective tool when it comes to networking, and how are you building your professional networks?
I would say LinkedIn is a huge resource for me to this day, and it was at the beginning of my career, now using it to this day. That has always been an awesome resource. From the very beginning when I was looking for jobs, I remember a great piece of advice that you gave me was to reach out to people, especially professionals in positions that I might be interested down the line in my career or am inspired by, just to send them a message, ask them for a quick phone call just to chat with them and connect with them. And I felt like that kickstarted my and desire to build a community, build a not necessarily personal community that I'd see every single day, but to build up my network with people that inspire me. And so I was able to get on the phone with people and hear from them. And I didn't necessarily, it wasn't to get a job from them or anything, it was just to learn from them a little bit. And I remember at the end of every single one of those phone calls, they were always saying, "Hey, if I ever hear anything, if I ever hear of any opportunities, I'm gonna let you know. You're on my mind." And so just to know that there was people out there looking out for me was awesome.
So you
Um,
had a good response on LinkedIn. Can you tell everybody, like, how you went about reaching out to these folks and what got their attention to schedule a call with you? And was it a call or a Zoom, or what did you do?
yeah, usually it was a phone call or I think there was like a couple of Zoom calls, whatever was most convenient for that person. But I would just find their profile, and I would send them a link, a DM message, direct, I think it was just like the direct mail message. And I asked for I said if especially if they were a Gator, I would say, "Hey." 'Cause as a fellow Gator, I know I like to help my fellow Gators, and so I would always touch on that, just, really trying to have something that was relatable between the 2 of us, and then also just mentioning exactly what I was thinking. Like, I saw that you work for example, there was this, executive at Moffitt Cancer Center that I was like, "Oh, maybe I would wanna do something in healthcare and PR. I'm gonna talk to her." So, I would like to talk to her, and so I reached out, I mentioned why I was inspired. I really love your position. I think that's an amazing thing that you get to do, doing communications for this awesome cancer center, like world renowned. Like, would you mind hopping on the phone if you have time for 15 or 20 minutes just to explain to me your experience and tell me a little bit more about how you got to where you are? Because I would love to hear about it and learn from you. And she responded maybe a couple days later and was like, "I would love to." And we set up a call, and it was awesome. And I did that for all the other professionals too that I was able to connect with.
And out of doing all of this, reaching out in that way online, networking,
hmm
did anything result in anything specific that was a good success story for you?
I would say that initial outreach, there wasn't anything concrete that I can look back to that was yeah, that got me a job or that was like
Mhm.
led to something. But I would say more of just like the connection and the learning experience itself from each individual is what I took away from them. I did end up securing the position I have now through LinkedIn and just applying through LinkedIn. So LinkedIn was a great resource for learning, but also for job applications too, because I was able to represent myself on there on that profile, show my experience with pitch, connect with people, learn from them. It was like LinkedIn is awesome. I love LinkedIn.
It's all right there. It's such a
It
great
is.
resource. And I think too, probably you just even talking to these professionals, even if they didn't offer you a job, it just gives you practice talking to other professionals and probably made you stronger in the interview process too, or even that you knew these other people that could potentially
Mhm.
give you recommendations or, give you advice on, jobs that maybe you're looking at.
Exactly. I remember there was this one moment I can look back to. I was speaking to somebody on the marketing team with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and she had a lot of great suggestions. Because something I asked each of them was like, how do you stay up to date in your industry? Like, who do you follow? What do you read? Just so I could try to do the same. And she was telling me, especially if I was looking at social media management, to follow specific teams. And I still follow them to this day, and I look to their content, and because their social media management teams are amazing. They're always on top of it, always on the latest trends, funny, engaging. And so I will still look back to those accounts and reference them whenever I'm planning social media for my own clients and looking for inspiration too. Yeah.
Tell me, we talked a little bit about pitching, and I want to hear about what you're doing now and how your pitching has evolved. Are you basically doing the same thing, or has your kind of experience expanded a bit?
It's definitely expanded. Yes. So it's the work I do now covers the broad range of public relations. So everything from writing, so writing those pitches, writing press releases, media alerts, to facilitating the interviews that I've secured in person, like going in studio, or working on site with a client, facilitating that interview, photo shoots, reporter coming in, a journalist from a newspaper, facilitating that. It definitely covers a broad range, and I love that. So I love pitching. I love the thrill of getting the booking or getting that interviews in the calendar.
Mhm.
But now I have a little bit more of that, the back end. So writing out the press releases that release the information in an engaging way, or building up the social media calendars that will be put out on a client's page. And so it's the best of both worlds. So when I want to be with people or talk to people or pitch people, I get to have that experience. And if I want to be working more on the back end and do some more writing and analytical work, I get to do that. So it's many different skills involved now.
Are you in a position where you're having to manage anyone else or run teams?
Yes, I have worked with my very own interns now,
Oh,
and
how's that going?
it's great. I love having the chance to work, especially with usually they're students, in the area, and that is, again, a full circle moment for me, to have been an intern myself, know what that was like, and also not to be too far off from that experience to this day. I mean, it's only
Yeah,
been
you're pretty early in your career and you're managing even
yeah.
interns. I mean, interns are not easy to manage. It's a lot of times it's their first professional job and they've never even done anything before, just like you when you came here.
Exactly. Yes, so knowing that I was that person to someone else at some point, now, like, looking back, I'm able to hopefully give that experience to the interns that come to work with us and give them that experience, the professional experience, give them the advice about, like, here's how you can carry yourself in this in-person setting and give them that experience right then and there. Here's how to write a pitch and then give them that experience to write that pitch. Here's how to work with the media to convince them to cover a story and give them that, like, it's such a cool experience to be able to help teach somebody and then also to see them go from the moment where they had no idea what was going on to leaving the internship, having the skills that they need to kickstart their own career down the line. And so it's been really fulfilling to give back to them in that way.
Where have you channeled all this mentorship from? Like, what has prompted you to teach them in that way?
Honestly, from my own mentors, I look back I look back to the ways that you guided me throughout my internship, past teachers and professors, my own bosses too, um, because even when, I would run into a moment where I'm like, "I'm not sure what to say or how to guide her in this experience," I'd go to my boss and I'd be like, "Alright, what do you suggest? How do you suggest we, um, navigate this new skill with her?" Or him, and just really looking to my own resources and looking to my friends in the profession, looking back to my own experiences with my own mentors, like, I loved pulling from all of that, and I know I'm, like, so early in this too, but
Yeah, no.
when
I
I
think a
go
lot of
back and
I think it's becoming more common. And I
Yeah.
love that you've had some good experiences to draw from and that you can still go to your boss, who's also a mentor of yours,
Right.
and ask for advice on how to address certain things to the people that you're rising up and bringing up. So,
Exactly.
that warms my heart to hear.
I remember throughout my internship with you, I remember having, like, little tidbits, like, I remember you would say something on the phone when I was practicing a pitch or something, and, I one of them sticks to me to this day, and I repeat it to my interns too, and I'm like, "If you're going to ask a question about something, have a solution ready to go, just to run it by, and if it's okay if, like, it's not the solution I like my mentor would want, like, it's okay if it's not the right solution, but the fact that you have a solution ready shows initiative, and so I, like, remember writing that down in a little sticky note and sticking it on my laptop and always trying to remind myself, like, "Okay,"
Don't
like
come to me with all the problems. Come to me with the problem and the solution, and I'll let you know
yeah,
if the solution is correct or not.
exactly, exactly, and so, I remember, like, passing that on to my intern, um, and that, like, sparked something in her. It, like, enabled her to really approach every question she had with, like, a little bit more of, like, a critical thinking of, "Hey, like, I have this question about how you want this post formatted, and yeah, I am just shooting my shot. I formatted it like this. Is this gonna work out?" And even if it did or if it didn't, like, she came with a solution, and it was just like, "Oh my gosh, like, that's the same thing that happened to me." Like, I received that little encouragement, and it helped me to be more proactive and to approach my problems with, like, a go-getter attitude, like, "Let's find a
Yeah.
solution." And so
I love that you're doing that and you're not doing it for them, that you're encouraging them to come up with a strategy or a solution because that's only gonna strengthen their
exactly.
strategy skills, which is what I was doing with you. If I
Yeah.
did everything for you, you would have just been on cruise control the whole time, and then I know when I put you out there in the real world, you may not I can't always be with you, it's like, "What would Amy do? I don't know, she's not here." So, I'm glad that you recognize that, that just that little thing that I did with you, which is like, "Maureen, figure it out and tell me what your plan is, and we'll tweak it if necessary, but I want you to think through it," and that you're doing that now with your interns is great because that is a very valuable skill that you're helping them build, and I think that it's one that, especially with interns, a lot of people don't do, and that's why they come out of these internships many times, having an experience, but they're not leaving with, like you said, the skill set.
Exactly, and that's the power of mentorship, just having an insight that you passed down from me that I'm sure you learned from somebody too, and it's just so cool to see it trickle down in my own experience, to receive it and then give it back, like, that mentorship is something I hope never dies, honestly, it's just and I hope people look for that too, because I continually try to try to continually learn and receive from people because I know it'll build me up, and then when someone else comes along that might need that boost, I can hopefully help them build them up too, and it's a cycle, and it's a positive one too.
It is a cycle, it's a positive one, and I'm glad you're continuing it, and it will continue on if because 'cause they're gonna remember you, and they're gonna do the same thing, so
Mm.
Maureen, I'm so happy to hear this. I think this is the best way to end our time together because you just summarized my whole mission in life of mentorship. And I'm so happy to hear that you are just organically doing it from what you learned here at Pitch Publicity and that you're helping others as well. And I know it will continue. Um, so thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for having me, this is
How
so
can people you mentioned LinkedIn, but how can people can you tell them how they can connect with you if they wanted to get some mentorship from you?
like, yes, LinkedIn is the best way. Maureen Mooney on LinkedIn.
All right, Maureen Mooney. And I know that you have inspired so many people in your career journey and that you're going to continue to do so. I'm just getting chills listening to what you're doing right now. It's amazing. And I want everyone to share this episode so we can get more people exposed to the power of mentorship and all the great things that Maureen is doing. And be sure to connect with her on LinkedIn at Maureen Mooney, Mooney is how you spell her last name. And thank you again, Maureen, for coming on Pitch Live.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us on this episode of Pitch Live with Amy Summers. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a rating or review. Your feedback helps us plan future episodes. I hope you were inspired today to get out there, pitch, just even pick up the phone, like Maureen said, just pick up the phone to use it. It was originally intended, which was talking, but also to just advocate for yourself, to be a leader. As a bonus, you can join us at enisivox.com, where you can get motivated, hone your communication skills, and binge as much mentorship as you want whenever you need it. The link's going to be in our show notes, along with all of my social handles and Maureen. So let's stay connected and follow and support each other in success. And until next time, Maureen, MSH. You're doing great. Bye.
Bye, Amy.